Hi, Clayton Vance here, architect and artist, and I want to thank you for checking us out and being here with us. I want to go through, for those of you who have purchased this or want to know more about our particular Nativity Schwiboggen, just go through the details of how I composed it and what my thought processes were so you can enjoy yours at a new level of depth and meaning, and hopefully just make it a little bit more fun. And obviously you can see right from the get-go they light up, and the battery pack is over here, but most of you already know that, and the little switch to turn them on, off and on. But let's look at the overall composition. The thing that started this whole thing off was my wife wanting a unique nativity that didn't just show the nativity scene, but something related to it that meant something a little bit more to her. And she said, I want to see like the journey to Bethlehem. I want to see like Joseph and Mary on their way. Because that is, rather than a static image, it's an image that is moving towards something, and it reflects kind of in our lives as we move towards what are we moving towards, and I think it's a little more reflective in that way. And so I created this this vignette right here, the journey to Bethlehem, and made a Schwiboggen out of it, and then incorporated that one into this small little vignette. And I did the best I could in terms of researching what the buildings and things looked like back then and where Joseph and Mary may have stayed in a particular inn. I know this doesn't reflect the urbanization of those cities exactly, but what would have, I think, typically happened was the actual building, and adjacent to it would have been some enclosed courtyard area where all the animals would have stayed in the stable area. And this arch right here with the scene in it is reflective of this tiny little thing right here, which in this Schwiboggen you can see a lot more clear. But it's if this is the little place where all of the animals were staying, that's where they would have been. And so this is like if we were inside of this looking out back into the street with the little fence and gate and things. And then the next scene over here is the shepherds. We've got some angels coming down from above, proclaiming with the sound of a trump the good tidings, and shepherds watching their flocks in the field, and then the wise men following the star, and the scene that night. One of the things that I tried to do to make it a little more fun, to illuminate the rays of the star, I took an old kind of Baroque trick from classical architecture where you'd have a glass and then you'd have gold leaf rays of a sun coming down, and so the light would reflect, it would backlight it, and it would reflect off this window and backlight these sun rays. And so in some Baroque churches you can see that architectural trick used, and so we have a little light right behind here trying to illuminate, and you can see it when it's a little darker a little better to illuminate the rays of the star that come from that. And this scene obviously showing the shepherds and the animals, and that night with the Christ child in the manger. You know, one of the things people ask me a lot about is these candles up here. What these candles represent to me is the merging of the two, you know, the two religions, is the Judaism and Christianity, and the menorah representing, the seven candles representative of the menorah. And I took the design of these candles from the menorah that was carved in the Arch of Titus in Rome when the Romans sacked Jerusalem, I think around 70 AD. And so I tried to do it from an accurate kind of physical representation of what the menorah looked like, that was taken from that temple that was there when, you know, about the time when Christ was there. And that was my best interpretation of that, with the scene of kind of the ancient city there. Whether you want to interpret that as Bethlehem or Jerusalem, up to you. But the other scene that you never see, that was just, I think, pretty important to show, was when the wise men actually show up. We don't know how old the Christ child was when they actually showed up, but we know that it wasn't that night. And so I just gave it my particular artist interpretation of what that may have been as they showed up and presented their gifts to a small little baby who may have been on his mother's hip. So there you have it, folks. That's my explanation on how I composed this particular Christmas Schwiboggen. Something that will give you multiple scenes and vignettes to look at as you are reading the Christmas story this Christmas. Or keep it up all year round. I don't care. It's worth it. Thanks. See ya.